Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone. Welcome to the Game Week 9 pod of the FPL Wire. I'm your host, Zoph, and I'm joined by my co hosts, Late Riser and Pras. How's it going, Alar?
A bit disappointed, yeah. Not because of my score, but because of the fact that you two aren't part of the cartel and held Saka. What was up there?
Dude, we've been ousted from any cartels or whatever. It's such a stupid discussion, man. Seriously, like it has irritated me so much this weekend. But
Let
I
it
guess
out,
we'll talk
Pras.
about it.
Tell us what has
Yeah?
irritated you. Let us vent it out. Come on.
I just think that the the thinking that people can have that there is this secret group of people that will have information but not share the information because of some imaginary 4 points miss the core part of what people want. Big content creators want views, they want followers, they want people to basically think that these are credible people. So you tell me 10 minutes before the deadline that Haaland is missing out. The last thing I will think about is that I should do it in my team and not tell anybody because number one, I will lose credibility because people will find out. And number two, if I tell everybody that I have exclusive knowledge that Haaland is going out, number of people that will follow Pras FPL, the FPL Wire, everywhere, because this guy has info, is way more than imaginary points that Sun scores more than Saka. So to actually question people's morals and say that you had the information and hid the information is so stupid that it irritated me too much.
No, I'm even more
It's also like,
disappointed we aren't in the cartel.
yeah, man, that's the main
We,
thing. I was
we are
like,
in
why
all
did
cartels,
Pras and
man. We are
Zoph?
in all cartels. Let's
So
let's be clear.
we are like the Sinaloa cartel to like the different Colombian cartel, I
We
guess.
get all the news when there is news, and when there is no news, we know that there is no news. That is why I'm
I,
ultra even more confident that there was no news.
I mean, there's a reason in the last week or two we've been talking about Joe Pesci and Nana Patekar. It's all putting the hints and the Easter eggs out there. Yeah, it's all a part of the reason. But it's just a perfect week to have things happening outside of FPL because nothing really happened in FPL. Genuinely, not much happened. Like if you score above 40, it's a great week. It's that kind of a week. But as far as like epic stories go, like imagine somebody zooming out into this little FPL community and what all has happened since Friday. We have Tommy Legend going to the Arsenal game as always, and actually spotting a couple of people and this one guy in the hoodie who happens to look like Saka. People have done all kinds of research, this height, what kind of bag Saka wears, everything to figure whether that's Saka or not. Then we have the legend that is FPL Andy Martin going there, taking a picture. I think that's probably one of the moments of FPL period. Not even this season. That's just one of the
Iconic.
moments of FPL period. That happens, and then there is Cartel Gate, and then there is Son Assist Gate. Like
Oh, that's
literally
it.
everything.
Yeah, I was waiting till you get to that.
Yeah,
But one other thing before
yeah.
we get to Son Assist, because we should talk about the Son Assist as well. I will tell people who is the head of the cartel. I'm here to tell you. Join the FPL Wire I'll tell you who the head of cartel is. It's FPL Review. And the FPL Review is basically the reason a lot of people that you guys think had some knowledge. Basically, I am a user of FPL. I'm not as you can see, I've held Saka, so I don't follow it blindly. FPL Review on Saturday morning went very strong on two moves, which is Saka and Saliba out to Guardiola and Son. Those were the two very heavy moves that were predicted by FPL Review. As you can see, they scored points. So FPL Review knows everything, even before these events happen. And that is the reason why people held till last minute to see if there's any leak, to see if there's any leak on Son starting. Now, I don't think they got any, but they just eventually said that there's enough now here that Saka's minutes are coming down and down and down. There's uncertainty, and Son is the template review move. And I was on Discord, you remember, 5 minutes after deadline when people were panicking, oh, Andy's done this move. And I said, a lot of people have done this move because I saw it on review 10 minutes ago as well. It was the move it was recommending. So that was the last thing to say.
I'm really happy about the Son Assist. When it comes to such trivial points, right? I generally don't get worked up by this kind of stuff. Like, because I feel like, okay, it's a doubt. I don't even care about the rules and VAR and all of that much. But like, I was so blown away that the Son Assist was given because I feel like that was just berserk. Like, it was so far away from the points that Son should have gotten. Like, it just was a blatant unfollowing of the rules, which is why I sort of lashed out on Twitter. Otherwise, it generally doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that FPL did the right thing at least, and I'm hoping that they're consistent in the future. That's all we hope for.
I've
But
given up
Opta
since
did
the
the
whole
wrong thing.
Yep, I've given up since the whole Macaulay Evans thing that happened about 10 years ago. Do you remember that, Russ?
We've lost faith, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, ridiculous.
But I do like the fact that they're taking out time. Like a lot of people are against the points staying and then changing before. I'm like, if there are corrections to make, they're taking the weekend to make those corrections. I don't mind it. I genuinely don't mind it as long as the right result consistently comes out.
Yeah, fair enough. But I would also sympathize with Son owners because Opta have got it wrong. I think it should be a Tabido assist.
I don't understand because from Todibo it went to Areola. That wasn't going off target, right? To call
but Areola didn't change the direction for me.
That's my
Todibo
point.
scored the own goal.
When Todibo hit the ball, it was going in the net. It's not like Todibo hit it outside off direction where it was going out.
Todibo on goal.
It should be Todibo on goal. I agree.
I agree as well. But the precedent is they're following. Everybody's asking that everybody's, when I'm having a conversation with them, says that they don't follow Opta for fantasy assists. Yes, but they follow Opta for goals.
They have,
and if Opta's, they have to just do it. That's the basic argument. I agree with you. Like they were hard done by, and it was easily a Son brace as well. I mean, he hit the post as well. Looked really good. Everything as that, and we'll discuss in terms of what to do with big hitters. I think that's probably our first topic, but let's get into it after the sponsor plugs.
Segue into that.
As always, all the data that you see on our members area is from the fantasy, from our podcast is from the Fantasy Football Scout members area. Zoph's already done his lovely Monday video where he talks about the stats and has reviewed Gameweek 8. It's almost an essential Monday morning watch for me now. So love that, and all the tables, etc. you've seen are there. So if you do want to become a member and help us out while doing so, do click on the link in the description below. And after the most amazing nod plug that
I think Pras has to do it again, right?
I'm still watching it, man. I watched it yesterday again. I mean, guys, have you watched From? It's incredible, man.
After watching Lost, like, what I'm afraid of Lost, the thing it did, it just introduced so many things which it just wouldn't explain later. Just random things like, oh, look at this, this is scary, this is going to happen, and then no explanation about it, something so random. After that, I've just lost faith in something like that.
It's the journey, man. Like, it's the journey when the episode ends and you're like, what the hell just happened?
As long as
it
concluded, but last season was so disappointing that any sort of show now in that genre, I just feel like it's going to be wasted. It's not going to have a satisfactory conclusion.
Fair enough. But I mean, if you haven't watched From and you're a fan of Lost, you have to watch From. Like, it's really, really amazing.
All right.
I would have watched it, but I was glued to the Twitter app this weekend, given everything that was
honestly
happening.
couldn't care less. Right? Do you remember our chat which we had on WhatsApp?
Yeah. Like I for those that don't know, I was actually checking with Zoph, like, should I tweet this? I really want to just tweet this. And Zoph is like a perfect thought bouncer guy when it comes to like just some basic semantics that you're supposed to take care of when you're tweeting. And sometimes when I get aggressive or angry, etc., I just filter. We have a group and I filter my tweet to these two guys. And I'm like, you know what? There's nothing wrong here. I just feel like they've gone far away from the rule. And Zoph is like...
Power coming back, say, momentary down hota hai. Even though I have UPSs all over, the servers ends don't have the UPS, right? But I think we are back now. It says the stream is connected.
Okay. So we should be back.
We should be fine. Yeah. It shows everything active. So yeah, you were talking about our WhatsApp group and tweeting.
We're back.
Oh. Yeah, man. So yeah, Zoph served a filter, but this time I just didn't feel like holding back because if you're following the rules, you need to follow the rules. That's about that. That's all there is to it.
I just viewed it as a zero-sum exercise, right? Zero gain, but not something actually made a difference. So fair and well done to the community.
See, Karan makes a good point. We ranted about the cartel and they brought our internet down. It's real.
Absolutely. Right.
All right, man.
This is the Nod plug. Yes. As you guys know, NordVPN has been a long-term partner of the FPL Wire. If you're bored of the streaming libraries in your country, with NordVPN, you can access content outside your region, get access to a wider library on your favorite streaming services, and if you're traveling outside your country, you can access your home library content. Every purchase of the 2-year NordVPN plan using the link nordvpn.com/the FPL Wire will receive an additional 4 bonus months on top. Show recommendations of Pras for you. It was from LR. Anything you're watching?
Nothing at the moment, but I've got my eyes on this new Apple TV show called Disclaimer.
Yes, I'm waiting for the episodes to pile up a little bit of that. I heard it's good. Kate Blanchett is in it.
And they do these slow burning thrillers really well. Generally, the Apple productions are nice, so I'm waiting for that one.
Couple of shows.
Apple has upped its game, man.
It has. Apple has definitely upped its game. A couple of British shows I'm watching. One is Ludwig, and the other is, I think, the one of the Sleeper Train. I don't know, plus you might have seen that. Or that's
Sleeper Train, no.
It's a train where they basically is taken hostage by an AI device or something like that. Pretty nice. All the episodes are out. So you can also Nod also has an efficient anti-malware and anti-spyware protection tool. It highlights any attack and deletes it before it makes a mess of your computer. Grab your exclusive NordVPN deal by going to nordvpn.com/the FPL Wire. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Sign up using the link in the description below. Right. Let's kick off, guys. And right at the top, let's tackle the Saka dilemma. And the other, let's do an entire big hitter review as well.
Let's
right?
go to that Lego Mane big hitter chart, I think.
Yes.
I think that will help.
This one. There we go.
Because it plays into so many discussion points, right? Big hitter in midfield, Haaland in or out, Saka in or out. I mean, they play tonight, right? They play the Champions League tonight, and he wasn't seen in training. But if he's on the bench, then I think I'm looking to keep him, because as we can see from the big hitter chart, after game week 12, Saka's in the conversation for captaincy, or basically a good fixture for the foreseeable. And look, the one that is grayed out is home to Man United. I mean, come on, like now we know. So I think Saka has to be in by game week 12. I mean, if you can say Nottingham Forest are good enough, maybe by game week 13, but he will eventually be there. So people like me who have other priorities, who may want to use transfer somewhere else, I think he's okay to keep. Of course, if he's out, then that becomes a little bit of a problem. And then for big hitters in midfield, just two things to say. In big hitters in midfield, there's two things to consider: short-term guys and long-term guys. Saka is a long-term guy, Palmer is a long-term guy, but there's good short-term guys. Son is a good short-term guy. Foden is a good short-term guy. That's, at least in midfield, that's my thoughts.
It just, but like, we mentioned that other priorities. I feel like the priority, if your team structure is decent, otherwise, should be spending transfers in these spots, right? Wouldn't you agree?
You should, but then there's other things as well to take care of. Like what I'm saying is, of course, if you have the transfers, you should prioritize them here. But if you have problems or if you need to fund them, you also need other transfers, right? I mean, next week people may need 2 free transfers if they're looking to take Haaland out, for example, if that's the priority. So if you're only talking midfielders, I agree with you that you should be maybe taking shorter term routes to get to the longer term. But it's also okay to keep, is what I wanted to say.
Yeah, like, see, my perception of this is, when I'm looking at Saka's fixtures, we just don't have precedence in terms of how they're doing without Odegaard too much this year, because they've had 3 games with red cards. So we just really haven't seen much. But like, Saka's interconnected to my Kai transfer as well. And I just want to bring that into the conversation, because if he's unfit for Liverpool, I'm not interested in Kai either. Because I feel like Arsenal are completely, I don't know how much they'll be creating without Odegaard and Saka both. Because even before the red card this weekend, they didn't do much before the Saliba red card came. So that worries me a little. And Liverpool now are probably, we need to adjust our perception in terms of defense. They're probably as good as Arsenal, because they're staying back. They're playing conservatively. That said, I just immediately like the fixtures after. Like, I feel like Newcastle is a fixture that we gotten at. Zoph, would you agree that Chelsea is just generally a good fixture for opposition attackers because of the way you're playing?
Yes,
Like,
I think we are pretty much a both teams to score in every big game. Because even against Liverpool, we saw, and I digress a little bit, I thought we were good. I was quite impressed with how good we were until we actually conceded the goal.
Exactly. So it's like, in terms of attackers, I don't mind it, because the only real tough fixture is Liverpool here. Then I think Newcastle away onwards, as long as Kai and Saka both are fit, your attackers are going to be fine. That's my perception of Saka.
A few things I wanted to raise over here. Now, you go back to your points about using your transfers here. There's also a school of thought where you can say that I know that these are the big hitters I want. And like somebody like a Palmer, for example, Ellard, you can say that, like, I just want to get Palmer in now. And I'll stick with him because I think the goals will be scored in this fixture. Even in the Liverpool game, we saw Palmer did have 2 big chance involvements, even though Curtis Jones was doing the whole Herrera thing on him, right? And so the thing is, now let's say, now what we've heard, that Saka wasn't training yesterday, so I doubt he will be in the squad for today. But that being said, the other game is on Sunday. It could be very well an effort to, like, conserve him for that. And I think, as usual, what we're going to get from Arteta on Friday is going to be, he's close. we shall see, etc., etc. It's not going to get anything definitive now. So the question is now, with in the lack of something definitive, do you move Saka on, or do you stick with him? I think that is going to be the dilemma for most people, right? I think it's safe to assume he's not going to be in the squad today.
And to answer that question, there are two routes. So I want to just engage with you guys. Let's just talk captaincy until game week 14. And I know that's like 6 weeks. But basically what I want to get from us is game week 10 and 11, are we there? Like 9, we don't need to discuss. Haaland is top captain. And we'll talk about 9 in more detail when we talk about our teams. Game week 10, are we comfortable with Haaland captain away to Bournemouth? Or are we saying that there's an opportunity to say, I'm going to jump on, sell him to get a Salah? And then game week 11 is the second one. Are we comfortable with him away to Brighton when there's an option of Son home to Ipswich? And I'm asking these questions because that will... So let's say you're comfortable with Haaland in one of the weeks, then you can just do Saka to Son and have Son for Ipswich at home. If you're comfortable captaining Haaland both those weeks, then you don't need to do any of those moves. So where are you with those guys? Like 10 and 11, let's talk about captaincy. Who's your best captain in game week 10?
So we should mention the KDB situation. We got some quotes prior to we came on. Now KDB has been in training, but Pep says that he's still not, quote unquote, feeling good. So what this means is that he's probably not going to play tomorrow's game, but he could very well make the squad this weekend, right? Maybe a few minutes of the bench sort of way, ease him back in. So by 10 or 11, we could potentially see KDB starting, in which case I do think automatically it elevates Haaland significantly as an attacking option. Now, there are also the 3 teams I'm seeing now. These are all 3 teams that are going to play. Look at the teams that where Haaland has had. He's up against decent defenses. Now, Wolves also, they stuck Craig Dawson in and sort of played the 3 at the back where they surrounded him. Something like Brentford had also done successfully with Haaland in the past. All these 3 teams are teams that will come to play. So I like the fixtures, all 3 of them for captaincy for Haaland.
Ella?
I've been chatting to Rahul and Luke quite a bit, and we've just been discussing tactics, etc. And there's like quite a few layers to this, right? Like, City haven't been that good in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and that's because Pep is sort of overcompensating for the lack of Rodri by playing all these controlling midfielders. Like, there's no need to play Bernardo, Gundogan, and Rodri, but he's doing that. Now, he played Grealish, etc. to add to this in the previous game, and he played Doku and Savio, which I thought would work, but it just didn't against a team like Wolves, who were like, you put in the crosses, 30, 40 crosses, I think 40 crosses in this game, and we will block with our centre backs that are defending, right? So they haven't worked it out yet. And like Rahul was fuming. He was like, how can he just not play Foden? Because in the 2 cameos that he's had, Foden's done really well because they don't really have anybody in the center of the pitch capable of playing through that defense or playing like a key pass or playing through. It's just not happening. They don't have creativity. Bernardo's not in the best of forms at the moment. Gundogan looks a lot slower and sluggish, and he's old. That's why he's looking a lot older and sluggish. So Pep needs to figure it out. They look so much better when instead of Doku, Grealish came on. Like every time Doku was playing, it was a stupid cross into the first man defending. And every time Grealish came, he was toying with the defender. He was trying to find a man. So I feel like once Grealish and Foden come, because we are talking about the best manager in the world, right? Like, yes, they've been poor. Yes, it quite hasn't worked, but it's also something that Pep will notice and try to fix. And he's right now figuring solutions in a season where he doesn't have De Bruyne. Foden's quite not fit, or is that the impression we're getting? And there is no Rodri as well.
Also with Foden, right? Because I noticed when he came on in the right wing, but he was practically playing as a centre forward. He drifted in centrally a lot and basically didn't have anyone to create width on that side, right? Because even your Rico is inverting into midfield. So I think that is sort of where the deficiency is lying.
Yeah, he came in for the right wing. I personally think the best balance is Grealish on the left and Savio on the right, because it gives them a bit of both in terms of control as well as flair. Savio or Doku, play whoever. I prefer Savio at the moment. So that's what I think. I just think Pep will figure it out. And I think Foden starts Southampton, which should improve Haaland's output. I just think they'll figure it out. They quite haven't. And how fast do you think it takes Pep? Because he's a little worried. Like Luke also mentioned a very great point that he's a little worried about the lack of height in that team. Generally, he had Rodri, which was a big guy. He had Walker, who was bigger than Rico Lewis is. And he had Ake, who's really, really good when it comes to set pieces. Right now, it's just Diaz and Stones and Guardiola. So the height of the team generally has gotten smaller. So he's worried about all these physical aspects. And he's sort of like a control freak where he thinks about defense first. So How quickly will it take for him to hit the winning formula? A. And second is fixtures also breed form. And I think that Southampton is a great fixture for them to score 3-4, get out of their own little uh, jinx and mess in their head and move towards that. I don't quite like the Bournemouth away fixture as much, Pras, to answer your question, but I feel like the Brighton defense is there for the taking. I thought Newcastle could have scored 3 or 4 goals against them. I felt it for a while that the Brighton defense is overrated and is always there for the taking. So I'm fine with 9 and 11 and 12 even. I'm not fine with 10. Like I feel like there might be a better captaincy option in Game Week 10, Bournemouth away.
So LR is looking at Salah.
I'm definitely looking at Salah.
Yeah, you haven't been following the Discord, right? Ella has been posting some potential moves over there.
Got
I
it.
did see that earlier today.
But this is exactly the type of conversation that I wanted to have, is basically where you want to jump and take on Haaland by selling or for captaincy will determine what you want to do. So in LR's case, it could be a case of maybe even selling Haaland for 10, or you could do it through other moves. I mean, upgrading Foden or whatever. So
Yeah.
there are routes that you can get to. Tell you that a lot of people will be looking to sell Haaland in 10 or in 12 or in 15. I think that early honeymoon period that Haaland is essential or whatever is going to come to an end. It's not the first time we're bringing it up. It's not after our 3 blanks we're bringing it up. We brought it up after his hat trick, in fact, in one of the pods. So
where are you guys at? I'm not jumping the gun on selling Haaland at the moment. Where are you guys on that? Like I would, if I fund Salah, it won't be through selling Haaland at the moment. I just also, okay, he's had 3 blanks, but I just have enough faith in the team. And because of what they've been doing for the last 8, 9, 10 years, I want to give them a larger leash than 3 blanks to be worried about Haaland and Man City. So at the moment, I think I want to hold till 12 and then reconsider. That's where I am. Because I like Brighton away and Spurs home as fixtures for Haaland.
yes.
Up till 12, I'm not even considering it, to be honest. And I would say even beyond that, because for me, the way I play it is essentially if Haaland is fit, he's in my team. It may be the wrong way, but it is what it is.
So my thinking is that everybody is going to have Palmer and Saka soon. If not in now, but in 3 weeks or 4 weeks. Okay, not everybody. LR is in this pod. So, but I'm saying the general view will be that people should have those two. And then I feel like my team value is good enough to have Haaland and still a good team. Like my sacrifice of having Haaland is basically not having Salah and Trent. So it'll be basically Haaland and a cheaper defender. That's basically the 2.5 million. And I don't feel like I need to get Liverpool as such until game week 13 when they've played Man City and maybe Newcastle. So after that, I'm happy to maybe potentially sell Haaland. But until then, I'm actually okay to keep him. I don't think until game week 12, he's an urgent sell. But I do think that if we can back against him for captaincy, I think we should try to do it a little bit more. Whether that's through Salah in game week 10, whether that's through Son in game week 11, whether in game week 12 you wanted to, I mean, game week 12, I think he's still probably better. But you have Palmer away to Leicester as well. So those things will come into the conversation as well. And I think people will be okay to do that because the ownership is going to start coming down as early as next week, I think.
Triple captaincy. Let's just talk triple captaincy while we're on Haaland, and we need to move back to Saka as well. But let's look at the triple captaincy. Pras, what do you think?
See, my view is that this is probably after Ipswich, or I would say even including Ipswich, the best fixture he'll have all season. Because let me explain, like you're now seeing a promoted team that is on its knees, right? I mean, Russell Martin is still there. Did you guys see his post-match press conference where he started saying, this one player was the one because of which we lost the goal. And this one player, when the manager starts doing that, you know that the end is near, right? When he's basically singling out people and talking about mistakes and talking about individuals rather than their style or, the fact that they were unlucky, but they were doing well. So you can see the writing is on the wall and this team is on its knees, and City create more than 3 XG in this game. It's there. And Southampton aren't even that team that are capable of sitting back, right? I mean, they are not like Fulham. They're not like Wolves. They're not like other teams that are just happy to sit, or Everton. Southampton will still try to play. So for me, the fixture is a big tick. I've already talked in the past about arguments of, why in double game weeks we may not even get a chance to use that triple captainship. So that I'm not going to repeat.
Can we revisit that? Because it's important. I just want to know how many double game weeks are we probably going to get in the future?
2.
That's it.
Only 2 this season.
So I'll pose you guys a question. Like in general, thinking about future game weeks, are double game weeks better used for a bench boost chip or a triple captaincy chip? Keeping in mind there's a lot of squad sacrifice or tightening up required around a bench boost chip. So when you're looking at a bench boost chip, it's not just you're getting 4 extra games. You're also committing to those 4 spots and sort of constricting your squad structure in and around the 3 game weeks before and after that. So what's your view there?
We have enablers, right? We are the cheap guys this week. This season, I think we can stick on the bench, but of course, I don't think the double will also be very big, right, Pras? We won't have as many teams.
No, I think it'll be like the 36 double will still be big. 36
the
or
end of the
37,
season
whichever
one
one
where
it
we
is.
see rotation, that's going to be the bigger one.
That's still going to be big. So that doesn't change that much. I mean, to answer LR's question, it's very with triple captain, you get 1 extra player. Basically, you get to play with 13, but he's the best. With bench boost, you get 15 players. So is your 13th player, that 1 extra player, better than 4 extra? That's it's a question mark, right? But your squad and the fact
and throw in the free hit chip too. Like is free hit necessarily the best for double game week? Actually, I think 2 or 3 of us rewards of a great double game week free hit when we own differentials that nobody else did. Like taking back our thoughts to the Palace triple up that both of us had that led to a rank boost. So what's your perception there?
I don't think free hit has to be played in a double game week, but you also have mystery chip.
Oh, yes.
This is the problem.
That's what we don't know about. And we have to remember that 29 won't be a big blank also, right? Like how we had last season because of the FA Cup.
29 is just one blank for the Carabao Cup final this year. So that's just 2 teams will blank. So it's a tiny blank. But there'll be another blank later, which is I think 33, just before the double in 34. So free people might use in 33. So now we're getting into way ahead into chip strategy. But the simple answer, the question we need to answer is we have 2 double game weeks. We have free hit, we have bench boost, we have triple captain, we have mystery chip. And mystery chip, no matter what it is, no matter how idiotic or stupid it is, it will still be better, most likely, in a double game week. Let's say it is, you can captain 2 players. Well, you can also, double game week is good, right? You play it in a week where Palmer and Haaland have good double game week fixtures. So game week 34. So there is very little argument to say triple captain has to be played in a double game week. And so you're getting to, this is why I was so tempted in game week 2, because this whole equation was playing in my head when he was home to Ipswich. Obviously, I wish I played it. He scored a hat-trick. Now the form is completely different. But form really, like Man City will score 3+ goals against Southampton. And Haaland hasn't forgotten how to score goals. So I am still 55 to not do it only because of this form thing and the fact that we're in the middle of the Champions League. But then if you take minutes into account, he's playing at home in an easy Champions League fixture. He's playing at home in an easy game in the weekend. And the League Cup follows, where Pep has said he's going to rotate, then maybe he gets 80+ minutes anyway. So there are lots of reasons to triple captain him again.
So I'll tell you what my reasoning is. I wasn't considering it until having this conversation now. And while we are having this conversation, I was like, I should keep an open mind to it and see where we are, etc. I think the fixture is as good as it comes. There's no debate. I'm with you. I wouldn't pay too much attention to form because I feel like fixtures breed form. Also, Haaland, the kind of guy he is, he understands that he's blanked in 3 weeks and something like this will be in play where he'll want to get a goal or 2 or 3 and announce himself back where people are questioning. It matters when it comes to these big players and their ego. When it's questioned, they pay attention to what's happening in the media, etc. as well. So I think it's a good play. I wouldn't put the fixture off. So I'm open to it, but I feel like what if there's a chance in terms of a double that opens up in terms of an opportunity? I'm also not had the best start to the season. I'm feeling okay with the start I've had, and there will be opportunities to gain ground. But I'm like, this is probably going to be a week where 170, 200% of the engaged crowd is going to captain Haaland. So his sort of engaged EO is probably going to be 200% if you take TC and captaincy into consideration. Like 100% gain from a Haaland for Southampton against home. I'm like, let me take it home where they haven't done much and then chance upon a future opportunity where maybe this player who I get isn't that highly owned and look to get 200% EO over everybody else and try to gain points there. So that's the pro and con that I'm sort of figuring, but I won't stop anybody from doing it against Southampton at home. I think the fixture's there for the taking.
So just a few points. The thing we have to say, maybe again, look at the future. Maybe Southampton after this game, they sack Russell Martin, bring in a more of a dinosaur kind of football. So maybe that Southampton fixture isn't as appealing later on. Of course, Leicester, we have seen, I never feel that confident now because Leicester are full deep block. They're usually conceding only 1 or 2 goals. So obviously, then you look at Ipswich. I don't think Ipswich will sack the manager, but maybe they'll tighten up, etc., etc. And the fixture is gone for Haaland. It'll likely have to be for your Palmer or a Son or somebody else, right? That's something
Which is not bad.
Which is not bad, absolutely. Because I was immediately when we were having this conversation, and the point you made was a good one, that you're actually going to be gaining max like 1 extra 100% EO. If you go somebody like a Palmer versus Southampton, you might be gaining something like a 250%. Right? So that trade-off you do. Go ahead.
We'll have to do an EO lesson now. I mean, it doesn't matter. EO doesn't matter. It's about how much your triple captain will score this week versus your triple captain will score later. It's your total points that matter. So, like, how do you even know you'll own Haaland later if he has a, because at some point Haaland is going to become, let's say, suboptimal, or people are selling him and he gets a good fixture. Okay, you'll try to get him back. But I'm just saying, if you think Haaland scores 13, 14 points this week and you get a differential guy who scores 9 points, you've actually lost 5 points.
I get your point, Prasad. This applies more to the larger picture, but not so much for mini leagues, right?
Yeah, this is about rank gain. That's it. Just rank gain. Trying to hit a rank gain. That's a nitro boost. That's all. And I just...
It's not a bad option. Again, we're just playing devil's advocate to see where else
fine,
you could
fine.
get it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm not... So I get the argument that you can wait and there's enough premiums later to hit the triple captaincy in another fixture. Like, let's say Palmer home to... let me take another team like Brentford even. Okay, so like it's not even like a bottom team. Yeah, if you're in Gameweek 34 and he's home to Brentford, play it. It's not that much of a difference, right? So that argument I can understand, but EO argument, I mean, I'm still on number of points matter more than sort of how much they're owned, because ultimately it will wash out.
It's a points at the end of the season, 2,400,
Exactly.
2,500, whatever you get. But another thing I want to just mention is Southampton in the first half against Arsenal. If I remember, Arsenal didn't have a shot on target.
Yeah.
Something we should consider that sense as well. So they did adapt. They weren't like completely full gung-ho. It's only once they conceded, then naturally the goals opened up a lot more. But the first half, they did keep it tight.
It's just I don't rate their defenders though. Like I just don't rate the people. So like best remaining fixture for Haaland probably.
Definitely.
Given Ipswich is done.
That I think is a fair point to make.
Yeah. So I like...
Has he played Manchester United at home? Not yet, right?
I might feel it by the time Friday or Saturday comes around, but I am currently of the opinion that I won't stop anybody from doing it. Go ahead. Like, I think we've done a good job of presenting the pros and cons and possible considerations for everybody.
Yeah. Should we go back?
I need to see 1 goal and 60th minute sub on Wednesday, just for my own.
And you get it done.
Yeah. And then I'll flip. So right now, like I said, I'm 45-55. Then it will become 55-45.
Yes. That's why we have our team selection videos for, right? And we'll discuss that over the week.
But I don't know if it's a psychology or not or what, but like I'm also like, I always like the idea of keeping the powder dry for the second half of the season. Like, I don't know, bro. Like, I don't know if that like makes sense or not. Is it just a psychological thing? What do you guys think?
It's definitely a psychological security is always there. You always have something in there like to fire.
Hope. Yeah. You have hope that this chip will get me that boost.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if that's not reading the room early enough and understanding that we won't have as many opportunities in the future. So like that's the dilemma.
It's the first season where we are going without this new double game week structure. I think pretty much since we started playing FPL, any of us. Yeah. So it is a big shift.
Are there like what requires like a couple of smaller doubles process, like a couple of events that are like
snowstorm or like a monarch getting older, something like that.
Something of that sort.
Nicely phrased.
All right, man. Yeah.
So we still haven't discussed Saka, guys. There are so many people who still hold on to Saka. If now Arteta is vague on Friday, what do they do? Sell or hold, for example? And it all depends also on, let's say, sub. Let's say if you have a Semenyo to sub on, etc., etc. Is he good enough? Because let's say if he misses Liverpool, we expect him back for the Newcastle-Chelsea game. What extent do we do that? I sort of know where your views are, Pras. You're more likely towards keeping because of the fixtures coming. But LR, tell me what you think.
That's it. Because let's say he has a 50% chance of playing against now the second best defense in the country. So what's his upside for just Liverpool, right? And I feel like there could be points for the taking if you shift to Son or Salah, because I objectively I think Salah, Arsenal away, Brighton home, Villa home, Southampton away is a good block of fixtures before moving
Yeah,
back
because
to Saka.
Arsenal don't have Saliba also. You have to keep that in mind for
Yeah.
Salah. That's a big plus. But tell me something about
Exactly.
Son. I want to dial back slightly, maybe digressing a little bit now.
No. Take your time. This is a decision everybody has to make. And I much rather we spend time on these players than everybody else.
Yeah. So now going back to against Saturday, Son wasn't on my radar at all. Even if we had got a leak whatsoever that Saka wasn't starting, Son wouldn't have the player I'd looked at. I would have either gone like, oh, I'll save 3 million odd, I'll go for BJ. I'll get Palmer first, etc. Or I'll try to make sure I'll get Salah in. Is the Son thing just sort of reactionary, possibly just because of he scored a goal and we saw how poor West Ham were in that game in general,
I can
right?
tell you why people did it. Going back to the original cartel discussion, because Son is by far the best captain in Gameweek 11 in some predictive models. And so basically, people did it because not only are you getting a good replacement for a X minutes risk player, you're getting the best captain for Gameweek 11. Now, whether we captain him or not, whether we do it or not, I'm just giving you what decision making people are going through. I was of the same mind as you. I was going to get Johnson, and then I would do Diaz to Palmer. So that would have been the thinking. So, but now, if you're thinking about it, and if Saka, so we'll come to our teams. Like I've already committed to selling Trent. If Saka is out, now I don't need to go down to Johnson. I can go to Son as well. And then I will see in 11. Like if Haaland blanks against Southampton again, there will be mass panic. Whether you are confident enough, maybe Son is a good option as a backup captain in Game Week 11. So I think that would be the thinking. And to answer your question, Zoph, I'm not against selling Saka. I'm against basically breaking your team if you are short of transfers, like or taking hits to do it. And if you're, basically I would prioritize others if your team needs it. I have a free transfer left. If I don't see Saka in any training, and if I don't see Saka again, Arteta says the same thing. He's not in the squad. Yeah, I think Saka to Son makes perfect sense.
So Son is the one you would go for. We have to talk
Now
about
I
the
would.
replacements also, right?
Now I would, because I think from 12, the structure will be Saka and two premium mids and one premium striker. Or instead of premium striker, another third premium mid. So basically that's the thinking. And I feel in that case, Son will just hold that slot for 3-4 weeks.
So you're not interested in, let's say now, you downgrade a Trent, for example, to raise that money additionally for a Palmer or a Salah. Would you prefer doing that, or would you just say go Son straight?
I would prefer Palmer any day. Out of all the mids now, if you're getting in now today, because Palmer, you're sorting yourself out until Christmas. And so that would be my first priority. If that was one transfer you could make by downgrading or whatever. Second, I would say is Son, which can basically bridge you until 12 to get Saka back. But like I said, if you have other problems, then holding Saka, especially if there's more hints that he's starting, is not the worst either. That was the thinking. And that's why we didn't sell.
Arteta is going to do everything in his power to make sure he plays Liverpool. They've dropped points, and now Liverpool are prime title drivers as well. So he will want him playing.
That's what I think, because I'm not reading too much into his absence today. I think even if he was 20-30%, rather than risk him, you sort of wrap him in cotton wool for Sunday, because we saw how important he is to that team.
Yeah.
So, Pras, I think you're quite clear. I think your top Saka replacement is Palmer, followed by Son.
Correct.
So Foden isn't on your radar in that sense.
I mean, I can't get to Foden, but also I think Foden you want for this week. I think this week Foden is as good as anyone else. Like, I think he'll start against Southampton. But after this week, again, you'll be thinking rotation risk, Champions League, what do I want to do? So I wouldn't buy. I mean, we were saying last week, the window to get Foden was last week, even though he didn't start, so that you get two good fixtures out of him and then you see what to do. So buying him this week feels like now, immediately after Southampton, you'll be thinking to move him somewhere.
Yeah, this week, Zoph, if I was buying somebody, it'd be Son or Salah. So Salah, because I actually think that the gain in terms of difficulty of the Brighton at home fixture versus the Bournemouth away fixture for Haaland is greater than the gain in the Ipswich at home fixture over the Brighton away fixture for Haaland. Because I think Haaland's a good captaincy option in Game Week 11 for Brighton away. Also, just objectively assessing the fixtures, I am liking Son more than I was earlier. Because Palace away, Palace were terrible last night also. Like they gave away more than a few chances to Forest. I was watching the first half of the game, and at no point did Palace look like they were going to keep a clean sheet. So I think they can be got it. And then 2 home games against Aston Villa and Ipswich. Now Spurs are the highest XG creating team in the league so far. So that's one. The second thing is I thought Brennan Johnson owners were extremely unlucky. Like I am very closely and very quickly forming the opinion that the best under 7 million mid in the game is just Johnson. Like the amount of big chances that he's getting, the amount of positions, he was taking up positions in the center of the box far more frequently than Dom Solanke was. In
Or
terms of
even
just
Son
being,
was. I thought Son was
or
sort
even
of more wider than he. Johnson was the one drifting more central, right?
so people are. I don't think people are underestimating, but Brennan Johnson is just a great option. Period. Like he's just a good option because I feel like he's currently getting as many chances as Son would and Solanke would, and that's not taking into consideration. And that's taking into consideration his inferior finishing ability compared to Son. Like I just think Johnson is a good pick. You can have both as well. So I think you decide whether you want Salah or Son. But my current top 2 replacements are Salah and Son.
Okay, over Palmer even.
Salah you
Yes,
get
because-
next week, no man. Like why would you get him away to Arsenal?
But it's setting you up now,
because
because
of-
if you're making a transfer now, it's setting you up
It's
for the
like
next
the
you're
season.
selling-
toughest fixture in the league, man. Away to Arsenal.
Not without Saliba.
I don't think that it's that much of a difference. Okay, I mean, look how
I
these
agree,
guys
and
kept City.
I don't see many goals in that game, etc., etc. It's just if Saka is a doubt, I don't think you make that move unless Saka is a doubt. If
Fair
Saka is a doubt, you want somebody playing 80 minutes compared to potentially 0. That's the equation. Yeah. So it's
Yeah,
Saka
fair
or
enough.
Son. Yeah, that's it.
I'm still of the firm opinion that Palmer, and that, like I think maybe I'm personally biased now, but I'm sick of watching Chelsea now without owning Palmer. It's just not
Yeah.
fun for me. So I'd say for me, Palmer would be the top replacement. If you can get there in one move, I think you just go there. The question is now, obviously, if it takes you 2 moves. And I think the Newcastle fixture is a great entry point this week. I like that pick. I think Palmer would be first for me. I think Salah second. Now, both of these guys, obviously, you have to go upwards. Like, not probably third would be Son.
For sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
And let's talk about
Yep.
Diaz replacements also while we are here. Because again, we're talking midfielders again. With Diaz also, like now, let's say a move I did this week was to go Diaz to Palmer. I sold Trent. Now, do you go down from Diaz to a Johnson, or you look to try to build towards your second midfielder? Like, for example, the guys who have already got Son, or you've got another midfielder in that place, let's say a Foden, etc. Right? Now, do you try to move? Do you make the move now this week to downgrade Trent to raise the money to raise Diaz to a premium, or do you go someone around the Diaz price bracket?
I think if you're doing the upgrade in defense, downgrade in defense to fund an extra premium, I think this week and probably next week are the last 2 weeks in terms of windows to do it. After that, because look at Salah's fixtures here, right? Around game week 15, you will want Trent back, or at least you will consider wanting Trent back because now they're defensively just great. So like to take Trent on, that's why I did it last week. That the period is now. So if you need to decide how you want to set yourself up for the next 6-7 weeks. Do you want an extra premium, or are you okay with Brennan Johnson or similarly priced midfielder or Bruno Fernandes? Because Bruno Fernandes also has Leicester home, Ipswich away, Everton at home in 11, 12, 13. So you decide which way you want to go. And at the moment, I feel like extra premium, given we're thinking that Salah, Son, Palmer, all of them are good options, and even Saka in the future. I like the idea of having 2 premium midfielders at the moment. So I'm veering. That's why I made the shift, because I'm preferring 2 premium mids plus Haaland as a structure at the moment.
Same here. I think I like that. Just like you shuffle around maybe a Haaland, Salah, what we call the ultra premium, and you get your 2 premium guys in midfield. You get the structure in place, so you can move them around if you need to.
Yeah. But if you don't want to do the structure, I think Brennan Johnson is just sitting there as a good pick. No problem.
Garnacho, I know that
Garnacho, I was going to say he's good as well,
8
man.
shots. He's completely become your entire goal set. I don't know that was specifically they were targeting something for a Brentford thing, but Rashford's become the creative guy. Garnacho, 8 shots, 4 shots, and I think 3 big chances. He was crazy last game.
Finally, like we stumbled upon, I'll just tell you what's happened with United, right? Like outside of Bruno, we don't really have anybody in midfield that's capable of passing through the lines. And which is why earlier we didn't have legs, but now he's just playing Eriksen. And when it comes to playing Eriksen, we lose runners who are capable of playing defensively. But what he can really do is find Garnacho, find Rashford, find Haaland. He can play through the lines and find these passes, and the onus of making these line-breaking passes doesn't fall just on Bruno Fernandes. So we have two ball-playing midfielders, and Eriksen's is good at that. And I've always said that Garnacho is better as an FPL asset on the left because it's his favored foot, so his shooting becomes a lot better. And Rashford generally has been and always been poor on the right, but he had a really good game on the right where he was creatively really good. That said, we're a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde team where we show good things one week and then we're shit again the next week. So are you going to trust our consistency or is that jumping a gun? I leave that down to you. Whereas with Spurs, I'm confident that they will consistently still create chances, are doing well, have had a good spot, and I like them for the next 3 or 4. So if you're making the move this week, I don't know, man. It's good. It's tough between the two. I think I'm slightly preferring Brennan Johnson because I feel like he'll get the bigger chances. Garnacho is still 7 or 8 shots, but I think his XG per shot will be way lower compared to Brennan Johnson, who'll get the easier, bigger chances.
Pras, your top Diaz replacements, top three.
I think LR summed it up well, so I don't need to repeat. I just echo. Basically, everybody needs to set up their structure for Game Week 12, for Game Week 10, and basically set up their longer term structure and what they want and start moving towards that. Like, of course, there are good picks above and below. The reason why a lot of people are doing it because you guys said like 3 premiums will become a little bit of template or a little bit of necessity, and so you need to think about it. Like, we have both ended up, I think, selling Trent this week because no matter what team you make in Game Week 12, it's very hard to fit Trent in. So when Trent has good fixtures, it's hard to fit him in unless you sell Haaland. So if you're not ready to sell Haaland, then I think you have to sacrifice Trent as a short-term play. And that's what led us to upgrading Diaz. If other people have the view that, look, I can downgrade Haaland later and keep Trent now, I can just go down from Diaz to Garnacho to Johnson to other picks. If you don't have Mbumo yet or something, there are other good midfielders around, but I would try to upgrade.
Forwards also, Pras, because a couple of guys in the Discord mentioned they're going for Larsen, for example. They have like a Havertz or let's say a Solanke. You can downgrade your forward. Which route do you prefer now? Do you prefer downgrading your, let's say, a Solanke or a Havertz or a Jackson to your 5.5-ish forwards? And you have a few now. Few options are emerging. You have Raul, you have Strand Larsen. Do you prefer that route or do you prefer the Trent downgrade?
Not a strong opinion on it. I just think Trent's next 3 or 4, you can take them on. Whereas in the forwards, we've seen, like, they're hit and miss, man. Like, Cunha blanked, but Larsen scored. DCL blanked, but got a lot of chances. Wood scored. You have Jimenez. Did he get a goal this week?
He got a goal from the Leno assist.
Delap didn't. So they are a little bit of hit and miss because they are cheap strikers from not that great teams. So I think if he wanted to do it, getting 2 of them feels a little bit heavy to me. Like if you're starting 2 cheap strikers on a weekly basis, but nothing wrong with it.
LR, what about you? Which route do you prefer? Cheaper forward or Trent downgrade?
Forwards is tricky at the moment because I feel like who are the mid forwards that we like, right? Solanke, he's currently not getting as many shots as we'd like, right? In the last 2 games, he didn't have much to show for. In the 2 games, but in the 2 games before that, he got 7 big chances. So we thought that West Ham would be sort of like a game where they would have a lot more control, but it turned out to be this sort of crazy transitionally game. The transitionally games suit Solanke less compared to the control games. So how are we viewing Palace, Villa, Ipswich? I feel like Palace and Villa are not controlly games. They're
Villa, especially, we know the high line they're going to play, right? Son and BJ
exactly.
are going to be getting behind.
So it's a transitionally game, right? Palace, I don't know if it's a control game. So what I'm trying to say is Solanke feels a bit murky at the moment. So does Kai at the moment, especially with the fixtures that Arsenal have in the next 3. And we don't know how fit Saka is, right? So for this short-term period, I feel like it's all right to go cheap forwards because, in my opinion, the view to then get an expensive forward is around Game Week 13. And that's Ollie Watkins, yeah. Look at Game Week 14 onwards. He's got Brentford home, Southampton home, Forest away. Like, not many people are looking at Watkins, but actually even 12 onwards. Palace, Chelsea away. Chelsea away is a good fixture for an attacker. Palace home, Chelsea away, Brentford home, Southampton home, Forest away. Like, that's a good bunch of 5 for Watkins. So like the fixture I actually like in this middling price bracket is Watkins. So I feel like you can get away with it for the next 3-4 weeks, but eventually, so I currently have Kai, Haaland, and DCL. So I'm happy or not happy. I'm okay holding DCL for the next few. I'm looking at actually downgrading Kai for a bit to Strand Larsen, and eventually I'll upgrade DCL to the mid-price striker that I want. So that's the sort of route that I have in my mind.
I'm mixed. I think I would personally prefer losing Trent just for the short term because, like Pras said, it's a fixture play. Look at the fixtures again, like Arsenal away, Brighton, Villa, Southampton, Man City. I would say, again, good fixtures for attackers, but not so great for the defenders, even Newcastle away. I would say wager 2 clean sheets in the 6. Maybe 3 is
Yeah.
the best they get.
2.
And another thing, sorry, I wanted to mention, I don't know if this was linked to Trent's, what he mentioned that Trent hadn't trained for a couple of days after returning back from England, right? Now, was that the reason, or was it a tactical thing where in these tougher games, Trent is going to be playing very much a traditional defensive fullback?
I think that's the reason what you spotted. Like, I don't think he was fully up to the mark as well, but he wanted Trent's quality on the ball as well. And just secondly, right, like Liverpool are just defensively really good. We need to come around the fact pretty soon that they're sort of an Arsenal level defense. So if you're selling Trent, you need to have plans in place to get him when the good run comes because he's damn good as an asset.
Cool. So I think let's just do a quick roundup. Then I think let's just discuss a Trent replacement since we did touch upon that. Let's say sub 5 million, your top 3 guys, LR.
Mikolenko, because Brandt is fit and he's going to be playing, and I like the run of fixtures for him. At number 2 would be Ait Nouri. Worth noting that I don't think Ait Nouri will be as attacking in the upcoming games as he was in the City game because City played 5 at the back. Because Wolves played 5 at the back. 5 at the back at the City game, so he had license to attack. And actually, we should start paying attention to Semedo as well, who's been incredibly attacking as well. So we are sort of wired to think that Ait Nouri is the more attacking one, but the last 2 games, Semedo's been doing a lot more attacking as well. He could have scored a goal and had the assist in the game as well. So, maybe we need to start paying attention to that. But these are the 2 defenses that I'd look
Number
at.
Number 3, probably Forest.
Forest, yeah. How much is Delete? 5 million?
5.1 now, I think.
5.1. I don't mind him as a pick. I think the fixtures for United are really good. Like, except for Chelsea at home, they're genuinely clean sheet fixtures, like West Ham away, Leicester home, Ipswich away, Everton home. Then you got Arsenal, which is a tough one. Then you got Forest at home. So there's a really good bunch of fixtures, and he's got an underrated set piece threat, in my opinion. So I don't mind Delete as a pick as well.
Plus, your top 3?
I think similar. I still am okay with rotations, right? So it really like
because the Wolves and Mikolenko, that's what we've tried to set up, all 3 of us, right? I think.
No, I have Pinnock.
Oh, you have
so for
Pinnock,
me,
right?
actually,
but I think the rotations are the same. Everton and Brentford have a similar pattern.
Yeah. I was looking also at Dunk, but then Brighton defense, I watched the highlights. Like, even though they kept a clean sheet, it was not. So I would say they're, but remember, after 12, Brighton's fixtures are incredible. Like, they are very, very good. So maybe I would just shout them out because it's a good window to get in this week as well because they're playing Wolves.
But you know what Brighton are in my head? Spurs light defensively. Like they'll play like open football, but I don't know how many clean sheets they're going to keep. I'd much rather
But Wolves is the same, man. Like, how many clean sheets would Wolves keep? Like, how many attacking returns are we expecting from Ait Nouri to justify one clean sheet in the next 6 games, right? So,
which are the cheap defenses we trust? I think there's 2 that's emerged quite strongly this season: Everton and Forest.
Yes, that is fair.
And that's the identity, right? We look at teams who are naturally defensive when we want to go for these cheapy guys. That's what we get from Nuno and Daesh. They're the last dinosaur football managers, you could probably say, in the league. Everybody wants to play this expansive, free-flowing football.
Fair enough. Fair point.
And I do think Nouri will be wing back. I think O'Neill generally likes a back 3. They diverted from it this season, but there's a chance we could see Nouri at wing back as well. But I think, that's covered the budget defenders. Budget forwards, let's do top 2.
Let's talk through them at the moment. And Zoph, if we can go to the fixture ticker. So I think that's important for the sort of budget strikers. Because I think it's an important conversation to have. Like, which are the ones that we're looking at, right? I feel like the
not DCL
window.
DCL is number 1, like it or not.
Man, so many chances, man. I did the stats
A lot
review
of-
today. It's just so frustrating.
But to be fair to him also, like Muric made a couple of really good saves too. Like I didn't think his finishing was that terrible. I thought Muric also was really good too. Like I just want to add that little bit of context. He just needs a goal, man. Like somehow needs to get a goal, and then like it's good that they're creating chances for him. Like two big chances a game is good for DCL also. But like yeah, at some point your patience runs thin. But like let's talk about future replacements, because let's say in the future also we want to replace. And a lot of people have been asking me about Wood, and even I'm considering Wood. I just feel like the time to get Wood is over, because he's got a bunch of great fixtures right now. He's
Controls
got
of
Leicester,
control.
Leicester, West Ham, Newcastle, Arsenal away, Ipswich. And the fixtures after that reach City away, United away, Villa home, Brentford away, Spurs. So the fixtures aren't great. So who are you looking at? I like Strand Larson. Pras is going to look at Pedro in Game Week 12. Cunha is good. But like there's one part of me that's
Who do you
thinking,
prefer? The 1
if-
million is a big thing. Just you're mentioning a
No.
boost forward.
questioning to you guys though. Like, why not just go for Vissa right now?
Can do.
Like Ipswich,
I was going to say
Ipswich at
this
home.
actually.
Ipswich home, Fulham away, Bournemouth home, Everton away, Leicester home. Like that's a beautiful run of 5 fixtures. Genuinely beautiful run of 5 fixtures. So like he's in my consideration at the moment as well. And he's 5.9. So even he saves a decent amount of money. So that's where I think my top two are maybe Strand Larson and Vissa if buying today.
Wissa might not start the Ipswich game, but I think he will, given that he came off the bench. That's probably the only caveat. I think if you're comfortable with that, or we get some clarity that Wissa is definitely starting, I think the entry point is too good this week to turn down.
Exactly. That's the thought process. Like these are the two that I'm looking at.
Pretty much. I'd agree with that. And I do think the 1 million you save on Strand Larson versus Cunha is a lot. And there's so much randomness there. You save the 1 million where you can, because that's your enabling position. For a lot of people, that will be the next cheapest attacker after Rodgers, right? But what about Raul? Why are we not hot on Raul?
He should be. And I think he'll take the next pen now.
That's what I'm saying. The below 6 million bracket has suddenly lit up with options. I don't think any of them you can say like point and say that's bad, because even Fulham's fixtures, Everton, Brentford, Palace, Wolves, all good.
They're not bad.
I-
It's just a little bit of, I feel like throwing a dart. You know, like
It
they're
is.
all decent, but sometimes they will go through 3 games without scoring, and any one of them can do that. So it's like, it's hard to recommend these players. That's the problem. They're all okay.
That being said, a
But
certain
also-
15 million forward has done that as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, like Wolves, Brentford, and Fulham strikers are not Southampton, Leicester, and Ipswich strikers. Like they're decent Premier League sides. So, like when the fixtures are good, expecting 1 and 2, 1 and 3 is fine. And maybe there is squad depth that comes into while we go into December. Like while you guys were talking about structure as well, going two cheap strikers actually enables you to have a midfield. I'll talk about this when I'm talking about my team. Like it can give you a 5-man midfield, and it can give you a deep team that you will need in December as well.
Yeah.
So, why not?
Absolutely. What else do we have on the agenda, guys? I think we covered midfield defenders.
I have to drop in 10, 12. So
So let's do our teams.
Let's do a sleeper plug first.
Okay.
So I've tried to fix these windows. Yeah, they seem to be fine now. LR take
so
it away. Pras,
So
all you.
tonight Champions League is starting. So as you guys know, we usually have this Pick'em League for our Premier League, for the Premier League, which is through our Discord as well as the public league. Here, this is just a general sleeper league for Champions League. And the main difference is in our Premier League sleeper league, we have the monthly winners, right? At the end of the month, after 4 weeks, if you're the highest, then you get a prize. Here, every single week, you get prizes. So I think the top 3, they share prizes of worth $1,000 or something. All you need to do is pick the results, man. I mean, if you're too lazy, go pick up the market odds from Rob T. Just fill in who are the favorites or what are the favorite results. Just do that, man. I mean, so just scan the QR code, participate. It's absolutely free. Especially if you've already got the app, just join this league and then make your selections. It doesn't take a lot of work, and it's incredible prizes. So we just wanted to sort of let you guys know that this is also starting, and tonight is obviously the kickoff for the Champions League.
We'll also throw in the links in the description below as well for you guys to join if you're lazy to scan the code.
I mean, for our Pick'em League, how many jerseys have we sent out now, LR? I think we've got 7 or 8 jerseys that have already gone out.
8 out, 1 this month left out. So yeah, we're giving out 4 every month.
And are we doing that? Let's do that Q&A also for our Patreons this Thursday. I think we haven't done one in a while. Let's try to do one this Thursday.
All right.
Cool.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Let's do our teams now. Some early
We'll go to
transfers.
process first.
Early transfers have been made, and this is you, LR, Palmer, Foden.
Let's do process first so that he can drop out if he needs to. Then that's all.
Sure. Yeah, this is with Edison. Yep, that's Pras.
Yeah. So I have got Edison in goal, Gabriel, Pinnock, and Rico Lewis. Pinnock has got 2 goals for me in the last 3 weeks when he's on the bench.
Your first
This week
bench spot is gold, Pras.
This week he was on the third. This week was on the
third.
third, and then Greaves missed out. And I was like, if Rico misses out and I get benched from the third, I will never be able to complain about bench points again. But luckily or unluckily, Rico did play and blanked. But anyway, so I am starting Pinnock, which feels all right this week. And so Rico Lewis is the third. Then I have Bumo, Rogers, Saka, and as you can see, Palmer is in, and I'll just talk about him. And then Trent, Solanke, and Haaland captain. Is this the version with triple captain? No, I sent you the one without.
Yeah.
Actually, in my current team, is triple captain is activated, just as a nice flex. But the moves were Diaz, which was always planned. Diaz was going to go this week to Palmer, and Trent has gone to Aitnouri for all the reasons we've talked about. I don't need to play Aitnouri, which actually even enhances more why Aitnouri makes sense, because this week Brighton, I expect Brighton to score, but from next week, I think he's in play if he has to play over Pinnock, but both Pinnock and him have good fixtures from next week. So that's the idea. I have a third free transfer as well. So if I need to use it, if I get the sense that Saka is not ready or whatever, Saka to Son can happen. So then basically what I'm thinking is this structure, there's 5 in midfield with Saka, Palmer, Bumo, Rogers, and Semenyo. Hopefully it can stay for the foreseeable, unless there's injuries. And then I can play around a little bit with my strikers if needed by game week 12. That could include selling Haaland. If not, Solanke could go in a little while to basically downgrade him and upgrade a defender back to Trent later. So there are options. The only planned move after this week would be Edison to Raya, which would be in game week 12. So that's why I'm trying to basically move this team towards a game week 12 type setup that I would want. And this is getting closer to that.
Were you not tempted to go Son or Salah before moving to Palmer maybe a few weeks later?
Well, Salah I couldn't, because Salah is another 2 million. Son I still can, right, for Saka. So
no, but like the first move as Son instead of Palmer, were you tempted to do that?
If I was tempted by, instead of Aitnouri, Porro, then I could have done Porro and Son instead of Aitnouri and Palmer. But I was not that tempted. Like this week, even if I had Porro, who would I play Porro instead of? So I was not that tempted by that move.
But the question is, it was clear in your head you wanted Palmer before Son.
Oh, definitely. Like we said that in our midfield discussion. Like his ceiling, and he's there, right? Son, if I go there, I'll have to take him out again for somebody else, because Son is not in my game week 12 wildcard team if I made one today. Palmer is in there.
Just. How much do you have in the bank for the Saka out?
Son is cheaper.
So you're fine. Okay.
Yeah.
But
I would look to save.
1 point odd. How much odd do you have in the bank, Pras?
Like 0.3, 0.4.
Okay, so you can do Edison to Raya again, short for that.
Yeah.
But just keep this in mind. Save. If you save, there is a move to Salah if he explodes, and if you want him for the 3-week period. Because if you
I want him, then Haaland has to go. So Haaland will go next week to a cheap striker.
Plus
or Solanke can go. Solanke can go to a Larsen.
Solanke to a cheap striker does it. You can do it while keeping Haaland.
It feels nice for 3 weeks, but long term, that's not the structure. Like I don't think Salah is that needed that I need to get him to ruin the structure, and then I have to reverse that structure again by 13-14.
But it's not a big sacrifice. You're just selling Solanke instead of Haaland. Like there's no comparison between the two players. You get to keep earning Haaland. It's worth the
No, I'm selling instead of Haaland. You're saying I'm selling Saka, right?
No, he's selling Solanke and Saka for Larsen and Salah.
And then it's an easy move when you want to move back to Saka, right? Like it's just one transfer. It isn't too much of a jigsaw changing. Like when you want to get back to Saka after getting Salah for a 3-week period, I would just say be open to that move, because it's quite aggressive in my head having Salah as a differential for Brighton home, Villa home, Southampton away.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Good shot. Your team, Adar?
Right. So I made a couple of moves last week only. I did, as discussed on the team selection video, I did Trent down to Aitnouri, and I did Diaz to Foden. Pep and Foden didn't start, but I still gained 7 points or 8 points on that move because the idea was to play Mikolenko, because I feel like there's also a part of me that I think I'm not getting value out of my Everton defender if I'm not playing him. So I didn't mind it taking Trent on. I gave that explanation. So this is my team. I've got Trent, Haaland captain. I'm going to move my vice to Boomer because I think Boomer's got a great fixture this week, especially with Ipswich not having Greaves or Tuanzebe fit. They've got injuries in their entire backline at the moment. So that team is there for the taking. So I think
Vice is Foden, man. I'll tell you why. What happens if Haaland gets a warm-up injury? Who plays up top?
Foden. I know, but I like having captain
Different
and vice. I
fixtures.
think I've seen somebody get burnt because the game is called off in the past. So
Postponed. Okay, fine.
Yeah,
I think
that
training injury is more likely than postponement. But anyway.
I think we didn't discuss who's the best non-Haaland captain this week.
Palmer or Boomer. I genuinely think Boomer's a good captaincy shout this week as well. But Palmer, I think I'd go Palmer anyway. I just trust him more.
Newcastle were rubbish.
Yeah.
Palmer. I'd agree with Palmer as well.
So what I can do is I can either save, but my team has got a multiple variety of routes at the moment. I can go Havertz down to Strand Larsen or Wissa, and that allows me to upgrade Foden to Salah next week, which gives me Haaland, Salah, Palmer as the trio. And then I move to Saka when Saka's fixtures improve. I'm also doing the Havertz out move, which enables me to get Saka as my third Arsenal. So I don't mind that. I'm also intrigued about the United attack. So I wonder if I can go Havertz down to Rasmus Højlund, who we haven't discussed. But I think it's going to be a bunch of 70 minutes. That said, that 3-week period between 10 and 12 for United, where they play Leicester and Southampton home within a period of... They have a run of
Leicester
3
and
fixtures.
Ipswich, I think. They have Leicester and Ipswich
at home.
Back to back.
It's Leicester home, Ipswich away, Everton home. It's just a good run of 3 fixtures. So, and actually, it's a good entry point this week if I fancy a little bit of Rasmus. But I think it's going to be a bunch of 70 points and one odd game. Ten Hag is just going to bench him for Xerxes. So that's what worries me. Or I have the move because I saw that Watkins has a great run of fixtures game week 12 onwards. And if I have enough faith in Foden, then I can just do Havertz to Watkins straight up this week. That said,
Watkins fixtures get very tough after this week. I remember they have Liverpool, Tottenham, and like Chelsea away, I think, coming.
Only one tough fixture. So they've got Bournemouth at home, Spurs away, which I think are 2 good attacking fixtures for Ollie Watkins. Then they've got Liverpool away. Then they've got Palace home, Chelsea away, Brentford.
It's not great, right? So I don't think that now is the point to buy Watkins.
For attackers, I think all of them are good fixtures except Liverpool away. I genuinely think that.
I think they can use your 9 million in better positions.
Yeah. That said, the entire thing is again Saka dependent, because if Saka's starting, I don't mind holding Kai and then reassessing next week. If we get news that Saka's not starting, I'm looking to move on from Havertz.
I think you hold, because I think Havertz at home I've seen is much better. In general, I think Arsenal at home will go for it. I'd like you to give that another week.
It's just without Saka, I don't know how functional they will be in attack, man.
That was my thinking as well last week as well by selling, because I know there's a 50-50 doubt. I had Havertz and Saka. I thought might as well take a punt on a Spurs attacker, moved him to Solanke. So I get.
And I don't rate that. And I don't rate that Brighton defense. So I feel like Strand Larsen against Brighton or Wissa against Ipswich are 2 good fixtures this week, which might give you differential points. So that's the thinking. And it enables Saka or any other Salah, Saka, Son, anybody next week for Foden, if Foden doesn't work out.
Fair shot. I like that.
Yeah.
Just structurally, I'm a little worried if you go Salah. Like your bench is looking a little, but anyway, later you
Carvalho also to sort of Carvalho, Greaves and all that stuff. But I guess you
and
can
you're
sort of
playing Rodgers as well and Strand Larsen. But
that's another thing I wanted to talk about in my team selection also, right? Because Rodgers now again, you're okay playing now this guy.
Just 1 second. I just wanted to revert to Pras. It's always in my head easier to move out of the most expensive players into any structure. Like I feel like that's the most flexible rather than non-flexible structure, because then you can buy anybody. So like that is the thought process in my head. Yeah.
Fair. I'm gonna go, but I'll just mute and close the video so you don't have to readjust stuff. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Like the stream.
Like and subscribe as well. Nice, my friends. Yeah. So my team. So I've made 2 moves. What I've done now, I've sold Trent for Nouri and also done Diaz to Palmer. I did these moves on Sunday night primarily because I was quite sure that even with the Saka down, this is the structure I want to maintain with the 2 premiums. So I'd figured out I'm still hopeful, and I would say maybe I shouldn't be this confident that Saka will play this weekend, because after the hammering they got against Bournemouth, I think the pressure is on to play Saka. So I
I'm
think
with you. I think he'll
Saka's
start.
more likely to play. And a move, now I've got 1.1 million in the bank, which is exact money for Semenyo to Brennan Johnson the week after. Now, the appeal over there, what I like, the rotation with Rodgers now is really good for BJ and Semenyo, right? Now, have a look at this. Now, I'm not getting Palace, obviously, but for BJ, I would be getting Villa, Ipswich, and Fulham when Rodgers has Tottenham, Liverpool, and Chelsea. The one fixture where he's away to Man City, I'm getting now Palace for Rodgers. So
At home. Yeah.
At home. So I think I'm getting some sort of edge over there. Because Rodgers, I think, is going to be perma play in most teams now. I could
That's
have
a
gone
great run.
Poro actually for that option also. So Nuri could have gone Poro, but I wasn't really that impressed from what I saw, right? So I've gone.
Poro did.
He did attack a little bit, but still not like I've owned Poro for large periods last season. Still not the same.
I agree.
So maybe
Good shot, man.
keeping Saka in might have been a bit of a folly. I could have, but see, the thing is, I was very sure that if Diaz is going, I have to get Palmer. I'm sick of not owning Palmer now. It's maybe more of a head over, like heart over head sort of thing, but I wanted Palmer in this week, irrespective of what happened.
If it was me, I would have maybe gotten a Son or a Salah to be aggressive for the next 2-3 weeks and then move. But maybe I'm not seeing the Newcastle at home fixture as I should. And it's just owner's bias that I've owned him for the last 3 weeks. And I've been frustrated by the lack of points in the last 2 weeks. Because he's had 2 games where he should have had 2-3 goals. He hasn't had that. So psychology plays into something like this when you own players and they're not performing as they should, etc. as well. So I don't mind it.
I could have done, for example, Saka to BJ and this one to Salah, Diaz to Salah. But I just wanted Palmer.
Fair enough. I don't think at any point is Palmer in a bad move. So no complaint. How many free transfers do you have now, Zoph?
0.
All right.
So I'm either
Saka
going to
has
write Saka is a doubt. I'll probably retain him. Let Semenyo sub on if necessary. If Saka is ruled out, I'll just take a hit for some.
Semenyo or Aitnuri, man. You can consider playing Aitnuri also.
Semenyo, I think he's just a total shot hog, man. In the last game, I think he was very, very unlucky. He had this XG numbers, XGI numbers, lot of good chances. And I think Villa, again, Highline, Bournemouth come to play. I'll give Semenyo a run out. Don't mind that too much. I can even sell Saka for free then the week after.
Fair shot. He's had more than 3 shots in all his games this season, Semenyo.
Exactly. So I think that's pretty
good shot, man. I want to actually, while we're here, I've got 510. I want to actually take you through another route also that I have. Can you go back to my team? I'll just discuss it with you.
I have all the time.
So I just spoke to you about the other moves. If I go Havertz down to, let's say, any 6.5 to 5.5 million midfielder, I can also upgrade Carvalho to Garnacho or BJ and get the rotation that you're talking about.
I like that a lot because, again, what we're talking about, and I think there is an edge now somehow to, you obviously want to retain Rodgers, but those 3 out of those 4 fixtures, you don't want to play him, man.
Yeah. The only fixture I don't want to play him is City. I don't mind the Spurs fixture. I don't mind
Liverpool.
Spurs or
Liverpool away also, come on.
Yeah. Like the 3 tough fixtures now are Liverpool, City, and Arsenal.
Even Chelsea. I mean, you talk about ceilings, right? Ultimately, you want the guys, like you're talking about a ceiling of a BJ versus a Rodgers. Like, for example, BJ has Ipswich that week when Rodgers has what?
But you saw, right? Like, while watching the game yesterday, Chelsea versus Liverpool, I sold Diaz, and the last 30 minutes, Diaz came on. Like, in my head, I was certain that Diaz is going to score because you guys were going for the game and there was so much space at wing back. So I was like, there is a goal here there for the taking. It's just that I think if Jota was playing instead of Darwin, Diaz would have found a goal. So, like, there are certain teams which are good, but they're not bad from an attacking opposition point of view. And I think Chelsea fits that criteria. I feel like your team is doing incredibly well in attack, but I think defensively is still there for the taking. That's all.
Yep. I get that, but I think the edge is there to like, because ultimately you have to start building your squad now. I think Carvalho is like, Carvalho is already paid for your transfer out, right? You've got points from your sub-on guys, Foden and Carvalho the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. Again, we're talking about genuine feelings. Like, I think Frank knows that Ipswich at home is an easier fixture. I won't be surprised to see him play like a 4-4. Like he played the 2 games ago in the easy game as well. So actually, there's a part of me that thinks that he's going to start in this game.
Right, but you don't want your 8th guy to be someone you're not sure of week to week. Now that Vista is back, Carvalho's shelf life is gone. I expected him to be back much later. I expected him to be back on the side of the next international break.
But then what do you think is more fruitful while we're having this conversation? Getting an extra attacker I think maybe we are 5 weeks away from definitely needing an extra attacker or getting an attacker that's possible hat-trick potential, like upgrading Foden to Mo, for example, and Mo being a great captaincy option, or getting those double, triple, quadruple points in those banking games. So where is your perception there? Like, do we compromise the squad depth for
it
these
all
big
depends,
hitters?
right? For example, like a Son to Salah, I would say, like, they have similar-ish potential over a short-term period. Similarly, a Foden. If you're Foden, let's say he does well against Southampton, Bournemouth, Brighton, his potential is similar to what Salah's is.
Yeah, then I'm holding. So I think maybe committing to the structure is a move that I need to do next week to see how
I think
he's doing.
saving is actually, the more I think about it, saving is a good move for you. So a lot of options open up the week after.
Yeah. So the thing about it is also, like, I don't mind the Kai transfer out little urgently because eventually I think I want my third Arsenal player to be Saka.
Right. Exactly.
So that's where we are.
I think, yes, Saka, you have to come back to him at some point. So we have a couple of super chats. Let's just discuss
Sure,
that.
let's do that.
Subhojit is asking Garnacho or Brennan, who is a better pick? I think we both said Brennan earlier in the discussion.
Yep. I feel like the moment for Garnacho is 2 weeks later. I don't mind it then.
We have one from Chris, 2 free transfers, Eze and Trent to Son and Ait Nouri, or Trent, Eze, Raya to Palmer, Lewis, Flecken for -4. Or keep Eze, Trent, Raya for 1 week. Let's talk about Eze. Vaidehi from our Discord was also asking us about him. Numbers are there, but I've lost faith, man, completely.
Better picks in Eze, better picks in Brennan Johnson and Garnacho. Move.
I'd move so too. I think I'd like the Eze and Trent to Son and Nouri transfers.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to sell Raya because Gameweek 12 onwards, Raya is just going to be brilliant. And like, there's a stat that I read that Neil wrote about. 60% of the XG that Arsenal have conceded so far this season has been in games when they played against 10 men. It's just a lot of bad luck. I haven't lost faith in a double Arsenal defense. I don't think you should either.
Agree. Cool. Let's wrap up.
All right, cheers. And you will see us do our team selection videos. And I'll touch base with you, Zoskov. I might not be available Thursday. So we'll figure out when to do the Q&A, but we'll do it this week.
Done. Great, guys. Thanks for joining us. FPL's been a tough grind this season. Keep the faith. And if you're playing this for the first time this year, it's not always like this. It will get a bit more fun.
I just want to shout out, like, you need to hit a runoff. Like just because of how swingy the season is, right? I'll shout out to our friend Jassy. And I think it's a good example to cite to people where the swings might seem like they're going against you, but just because it's such a swingy season, the swings might go in your favor very, very soon. Like, I have a friend, actually a common friend of both of us, who decided to go against Haaland. He didn't own him for both the hat-tricks that Haaland scored. So he fell down to 5 million. And then in the last 3 weeks, he's had Palmer in the game week where he had 25 points. He had Saka captain in the week where he scored 16 points. And last week, he held for one more game because he liked the matchup for Salah against Chelsea. And he captained Salah. And while he was sitting at like 4-5 million 3 or 4 game weeks ago, he's sitting at 50K right now. So like, you hit like 2 or 3 huge swings on the trot, given the nature of the season. And your
It's a good season for the contrarians. I have to say that.
Yeah. Like, it's a good season for everybody because we're looking at Twitter templates at the moment. There is no template. Like, literally everybody's
it's
going.
It's diverged a little bit now over these 2 weeks. The wildcard is sort of made it similar, but now it's diverged again.
And people are choosing their own paths and the big hitters at the moment, which I think just makes for a good, fun season at the moment, man.
Cool. Fun or not is TBD. Let's see that. So far, it's not been very much fun. Let's hope it does get better. All right. Good chatting again.
Palmer brace to turn your season next week. Here we goes off.
Oh, yeah. There we go. All right. Thanks for joining us, guys. See you all again soon. Bye for now.
Bye. See you.